Our guest this week needs no introduction. He's Jeff Joniak. He is the
And
voice.
you are?
No one's ever met me before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks
Cassie.
for having me, Cassie.
Good to see you.
We're collaborating.
Strong handshake.
Yeah, you got to go in that way. You were solid. I taught my daughters a long time ago. You got a firm handshake.
All right.
That's
that is
pretty
key
strong,
in business.
though.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
Plenty of practice. I was laughing because, Ben Johnson was standing up here a week ago. Now everyone's on summer break. And he's like, summer break is the time the creative juices get flowing for him a little bit. He has more time to watch college film, other NFL film. How does Jeff Joniak prepare for a season in the summer?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I prepared a long time ago already. I mean, every day I work on football at some point. So, yeah, already getting my boards ready for the preseason game and the notes all in order because it comes at you fast. As you know, you're up here every day. There's always something to do during the week of a game, so if you're not prepared early, it's like preparing for a final exam and you really didn't prepare as properly as you should have, and you're cramming for exams, and I don't want to be cramming on a Saturday night before a game. So, yeah, I have a routine now.
Are your boards handwritten?
Absolutely not. I have the worst handwriting on the globe. I can't read my own penmanship.
Really?
It's not good. So
you type?
Yeah, everything's typewritten. Yep. I have a program, and I have to. It has to be digitized. Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
I find the way that play-by-play broadcasters do their boards very fascinating because there's a million different ways. And someone recently was like, "Oh, you still write yours out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I write them out. I don't do the digital yet." And I couldn't never do it on a computer or an iPad. It has to be printed out on a large sheet of paper.
Yeah. Same. I printed mine. They get laminated, the whole bit. So I've spilled stuff before, so I'm a hands talker, as you can see, so I knock things over all the time. But that board is like a piece of art. It's color-coded, it's got all kind of stuff on it. I can't show you one, but I'm proud of it. It's something it started out, it was super big. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had stories like, I used to put them on stickers, print the stickers, and then it was a laborious process. I was raw, I was new. And one time my computer and printer died, and I'm like the night before a game, and I've got nothing.
Panic.
The story of it, though, is that 99% of the information I don't use. But it's the work you do over the course of the season, off season, that knowledge is power. So you don't really look at it much other than some statistics or whatever, or you highlight something you hope happens in the game and you're ready for it, and then you're mad if you don't use it because sometimes you forget stuff. The Eddie Jackson 2-touchdown game.
When was that?
A couple years back, many years back now. I don't remember what year it was, but I was so mad because it was 1 year to the day he had busted his leg at Alabama, and that's why he dropped to the 4th round. And I had that, but it didn't come to me. And those little things bug you to no end. But yeah, that board is, and everybody does do them differently. And for people who are trying to understand what the board is, it's basically take the depth chart, and it's the height, weight, hometown, college, round drafted, and I do other, combine numbers, and then list little nuggets that you come up with. And I do talk to scouts about guys, so it's pertinent information that's impactful for that particular day. So I have a database of this stuff, but some people pay for it to have them done, and then they scribble in some notes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, there's services that can do that for you. So they send you a whole clean sheet, and they're great. But I just feel comfortable doing it now. This is my 25th year doing it, so this is the way I do it.
Love it.
Sink or swim. That's it.
It's been swimming for you. What have you learned about the Bears so far? Maybe let's start with Ben Johnson so far as he wrapped up his first offseason. We got to see his coaching style in action on the practice field.
If this were a baseball game, he hit grand slam.
Yeah.
He had a grand slam, and the place is going crazy. A grand slam is one of the biggest things you can do in a sport, right? I feel it was a grand slam. He was absolutely perfect. At the podium, he was great. Mm-hmm. He tells you things. It's not a bunch of coach speak.
Answers the question.
He answers the question. He is very transparent. And you could see the energy on the field. I kept saying to everybody, hey, listen to practice. It sounds different. And it sounds different because there's a lot of correction, there's a lot of coaching, and believe me, it's always that way, but this just happened to sound a little bit different, and it was noticeable. I don't know, was it to you?
No, for sure, and I think that's what the players asked for last year, wanting to be held accountable, and now seeing it in action. I think it's such a stark difference of plays are called dead as soon as the error happens, and he's in the huddle. He's like, he wants perfection. It's the details inside the details, I think is what Tyreek Stevenson said.
Yeah.
And Cole Kmet said it's the obsession with the details that is very evident on the practice field. And I think that's what the players asked for, and hopefully that means wins in the season.
You know, that sometimes gets over, even from a player perspective, because I think most coaches are like that. It's just presented in a different manner. So their head coaches they are, like you said right there, they're exactly the way you describe. Almost every head coach is the same way, but it's the process. But I kept saying he dotted every I and he crosses every T. And I think that's what he will be as a first-time head coach. You know, people are watching him. What will a first-time head coach be like? And I think we're seeing a guy, he's quite comfortable in who he is. He's super smart. You can see that. He can hit you with a bright smile, and then you can see that stern, sudden change of demeanor. Not unlike me, right? I'm the same way. I can laugh with you, but then, boom, we get real serious, Cassie. But I think the entire coaching staff is somewhat similar. And again, we go back to it. I love the fact that these are not all his best buddies, because that happens often, and often to the detriment of the individual. So I just enjoy seeing and hearing, and what I'm hearing back also from players like you are, whether it's on the mic or off the mic, that, this is a very good coaching staff.
Let's start with the coaching staff and Dennis Allen. How crucial is he going to be to Ben Johnson, just in the fact that he's essentially the head coach of the defense and can take a load off of Ben Johnson while he's working on Caleb Williams and his offense? Dennis Allen can handle all that stuff on the defense.
It's a great resource because it's not just a guy who was a one and done. He's been a multiple-time head coach with a lot of years of experience, very confident guy. The mentality of all three coordinators, Richard Hightower, as we know as well, is very aggressive. And so aggressive, nasty, be physical, be tough. And I want that in my Chicago Bears. All three phases, I think players appreciate that kind of play, to be turned loose. And I think he's going to turn guys loose. It'll be interesting to see what he puts together because, again, much like Ben, it's not the Lions offense here. It's a Bears offense. It's going to be tailor-made, and I believe the same for Dennis Allen. So what we know is he loves playing a lot of press man coverage. So that'll shine on the cornerbacks that are they're gonna win some and they're gonna lose some. So, and the safeties are gonna have to be ready if something breaks down at the line of scrimmage. So, and then getting that pass rush going will be key. So the defense has, I believe, 9 returning starters, and they're getting a different style of coaching and a different scheme. And let's see how they play in it, because coaches look at players differently. It's not just, okay, you were this then, you're going to be this now. No, we see something different. Like, take, for example, Daniel Hardy. Okay. Daniel Hardy, trying him at strong side linebacker. Will he be a guy that can do that? That would be a great thing for his career, because I think he's an outstanding pass rusher and a core special teams player. But you were going to mention Kyler Gordon for sure. Kyler Gordon is going to have a lot of responsibility. The nickels always do. But I think Kyler Gordon is certainly, he's one of my players to watch this year. And he did get paid, so he's going to be here a while, and he's going to embrace it. And I think he's an outstanding football player, and I do believe he is, or will be soon. He's paid like it, but he's going to be the top nickel in the NFL. He can transition into many different roles, and I love when he blitzes.
So, I think everyone does.
I love when he blitzes.
Yeah, he puts on a masterclass of a corner blitz. With Kyler Gordon, were you as shocked as I think the reaction was in this press conference room when Dennis Allen openly was like, we need to keep him on the field as much as possible, so maybe he plays a little safety?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he could just be deployed, and there could be a version of a safety, or they call it a big dime or whatever. Who knows? I mean, maybe he plays, all over the place. Because like we said, he can rush the passer. He gets small in the hole, and he gets hidden a little bit behind the size up there. And he's super fast, super physical, super quick, and he's always around the football, much like Jaquan Brisker. I'm looking at Tyreek, Jalen, Kyler, and I just went blank. Brisker as being guys that are going to take yet another step. I think it's a big, we talk about leadership, and you got Grady Jarrett, and you got Joe Tooney on the other side of the ball. Caleb's going to be a leader. DJ's a leader, of course. But you got to get guys on the line of scrimmage to be leaders, also be team captains. But I want to see the young players this year, and it's almost all on the defensive side of the ball that I've circled here, and that is Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Jervon Dexter Sr. Those guys are, if they jump up to become, knocking the door and being an elite player, big-time playmakers, that defense will be buzzing.
I love the story of Jervon Dexter being the one to gather all of the defensive linemen down in Florida and start working with a pass rush specialist. And I didn't know that he was that type of leader in this locker room already. So hearing that maturity already come out of him, I thought was really telling of the step he wants to take, being more consistent with his pass rush throughout the entire season. But to hear that he was like, he's the one that got Grady Jarrett, the vet, coming together and getting him ingrained in the team already, like that to me was a huge positive sign of maybe what the locker room sense they need and hopefully the camaraderie of this group for the entirety of the season.
Right, because it is a fresh coat of paint. So, hey, maybe it's my time to step in front of the class and say, hey, follow me. And I want guys to do that. You can't have too many. Follow me type of guys, and Jervon, he's on the quieter side, but I felt he opened up last year, and now even more so. I think he's a young man. He came in this league at a young age, and this is year 3. He's a dad. There's all sorts of things that change like that for a young man. So and he's big
he is.
and strong and long, and he's really at it. Last year he reformatted his body, and now it's even better. And I think the weight room has really gotten a big push from the new additions in there, and they've added a lot of strength. Daniel Hardy's another one. Looks like a boulder coming at you. He's a big, thick player, and I'm anxious to see how everybody holds up and gets ready for training camp and what that's going to be like.
Yeah, the come ready in shape camp, not the get in shape camp, as Ben Johnson put it.
He's had several lines like that. I don't have them memorized.
No block, no rock is going to be put on plenty of T-shirts, right?
100%. And, anybody who is an old Bears fan and the 85 team, Dennis McKinnon was one nasty blocker when he was playing wide receiver. And, we've had others here as well. But, those little things add up to big things.
One thing, I was doing an interview with Jervon Dexter, and Tyreek Stevenson made a cameo in it. He was like trying to get in on it and asked a question to Jervon. Jervon asked a question back. And his goals this year were to, one, be the best teammate he can be. And he said he wants to lead the team in interceptions. And he actually has a tattoo with the number 7.
Okay.
So he called out 7 interceptions that he's going to have.
Right.
Everyone's obviously looking at Tyreek Stevenson, but I also think they're looking at the pairing with him and Al Harris and the way that Al Harris can get the best out of him. And I love the story of him going to Dallas on his top 30 visit. Al Harris saying he was one of the most memorable visits he had because he was truly authentic.
Yeah.
And then watching,
that is Tyreek, for sure.
And we loved him for that. But watching Al Harris being very hands-on, I feel like, with the secondary of, hey, like I want your body facing this way when you're defending this way. You talked about the press man coverage that we're going to see from the corners. How crucial is Harris going to be to not only Tyreek, but as well as Jalen Johnson, who I know is looking forward to following the top receiver,
for sure.
Hopefully.
Well, hopefully they have a big fight for the interception lead between the two of them and get their hands on 13 or 14 combined. That would be something. They'd be going to the Pro Bowl, and the Bears would be, in
the playoffs.
Maybe. If that's happening on the defensive side of the ball, because frankly, the defense hasn't had too often of times here in the last several years that they've been playing on the lead. So a defense plays different when they're on the lead. They're a little more aggressive with the pass rush. They can be a little more aggressive going after the football. Listen, I love the veterans, but I love the veteran coaches that played the game. So you got Antoine Randall, you mentioned Al Harris, you got J.T. Barrett, who's a former player as well. Listen, Al Harris has a great track record. He's done everything that you could possibly do, being undrafted, being cut, waived, traded, becoming an All-Pro. He's been on many different teams as a coach, starting small, and now he's got a big job here with the Bears. I've been labeling him in my mind, just watching him coach, stoic but stern. You don't hear him that much, but you see him taking notes on every single play. I don't know what he's writing down yet. I haven't got to talk to him about that stuff yet, but I think there's instant respect for a player of his magnitude because he was one tough player. Now let's call it what it is. Very aggressive, and I just love his track record. Everybody he touched turns to gold.
Love that. We have gone this long and haven't talked about Caleb Williams.
That's been happening on podcasts.
Really?
For me, our Bears Etc. podcast, wherever you may get your podcasts. Or speaking engagements. I speak to different groups when they come to Hallis Hall to watch practice, partners or whatever, sponsors. And, I'm going on and on about things, and I'm like, wow, haven't even brought up Caleb.
Why is that?
Why do you think? I mean,
I think
it's a rhetorical question.
I think it's because we're seeing Ben Johnson
Yeah.
and the way that he's changed the attitude of this entire team. So, right, it's starting big, and then maybe we get to the microscope of it being the quarterback. And also the fact that they added the nitty-gritty pieces of the offensive line.
Right.
And so Caleb is a product of all of that at this point.
Yeah, let's not kid ourselves, though. The spotlight will be
Oh,
on
it will be week
soon
one,
as
especially when you're playing J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings.
JJ,
on
but
Monday Night
at
Football.
first practice, when the media starts charting throws, and that drives me nuts. But I know
really?
they do it. Yeah, especially in the off season.
No, now
my
it's
gosh.
like little bits and pieces, but training camp's different.
Yeah, training camp's different. You got to execute, but you're still getting comfortable.
Yeah.
You're trying to, and this is a new scheme again. So, it is a great point, though. We know it's coming. We know the attention will be there, but it is interesting. I think again, I said this last year, and now we have more dudes. There are some dudes, certainly on the offensive line. The addition of Grady Jarrett, obviously, and let's not forget the rookies. That these guys are high-profile rookies. But the attention definitely will be on Caleb. It'll be interesting to watch the footwork transition, how comfortable he is. Will he revert into what he's used to in times of pressure, because that's what happens to us all. Like we go back to what we know, even maybe we weren't coached that way. That's your comfort zone. So hopefully, and I do believe there's so many excellent coaches around him here with JT Barrett and Press Taylor, and certainly Coach Johnson among others. I think it'll be a good transition. The mistakes, again, whatever are made behind the scenes or in the classroom or on the field, they'll be corrected. And I think the world is his oyster here because, again, I said this last year, just find your skill. I know that's a term that was used last year by the coaching staff, but it applies. You got a lot of skill out there. Get rid of the ball quick, and I think it's going to be a lot of catch and run. It's going to be a lot of yard after the catch because DJ, we know he does it. He's always led the team in that. I for certain believe Luther Burden III is going to be a big yak guy. You got DeAndre Swift out of the backfield and swing passes. Cole and Colston Loveland are big, rugged guys that are going to be hard to put down to the ground. And you got Roma Dunze, who's on the perch of being, a potential star. So he is also somebody we should be talking about a lot more. I think that maturity from one season, and it was a solid season for him, and his connection with Caleb will pay dividends as well.
Hard for fans and us not to see tight end Colston Loveland, first-round pick this past year, on the practice field as he's coming back from shoulder surgery. Sounds like he's hoping and preparing to be good to go for training camp. But from what you've learned about talking to him and people in this building, what have you heard about what he can be to Caleb Williams' offense team?
First of all, he's a great kid. Interviewed him one time, and he impresses you. He's a mature kid. He's a Michigan man. I know it's not a U of I grad or a Golden Domer like Tommy Thayer and Cole Kmet, but very impressive. I know people that are at that university that could not stop talking about him. So he has every tool in the shed to be a great player, reflective of being the 10th pick in the NFL draft. But they're different players, Cole and Colston. It'll be interesting how I refer to both of them on the field when they're both there, because Colston does go by Cole also.
He does.
He does. That's why I asked him. I said, hey, what am I going to call you, So I think we're going to have to stick with the Colston when we're calling the play. But he is big, strong, tough, fast, but he's an outstanding route runner. So at the top of his route, he's able to break off a route almost like a wide receiver. So that's going to threaten DBs, linebackers, nickels who have to deal with that. But then you got a guy like Cole Kmet, who's also an outstanding route runner and rugged as the day is long. And when the ball's in his hands, I think he's underrated in that category. He fights for every inch, and he's going to hurt some people. So what's going to happen is when you go to 12 personnel, the 2 tight ends, 1 running back, it's going to put the defense in real conflict, which is what an offensive coordinator and play caller is trying to do every play, is win matchups, exploit matchups. And it's going to be fun to watch how they defend these guys. And they're going to kind of declare what they're going to do, and then the Bears will be able to make a play off of that. So you're going to see the run game, especially if play action coming from center, which makes a big difference, will impact that performance of the 2 tight ends. So I think it's really going to open up the field. Every blade of grass. If you have an offense that impacts every blade of grass, you're going to win a lot of football games. You're going to score a lot of points. And I think this offense we'll do that with a guy like Loveland and Komet complementing this receiving trio.
I loved Cole Komet being open about when they drafted Colston Loveland, being a little bit taken aback, like, maybe I didn't expect that to happen. How is this going to work? Having the conversation with Ben Johnson where he said, I'm going to use you both, I'm going to need you both. And now his perspective is, let's just go out there and be the best 12 tandem in the league, because they have that possibility given their two skill sets. With left tackle, Ozzie Trapillo, he's garnering a ton of attention, 6'8", clearly very smart.
Come up to his belt buckle.
He played primarily right tackle at Boston College. He stayed after practice to practice left tackle, knowing he wanted to have a future in this league. You see him alternating reps with Karan Amagaji at this point, or days, I should say. We don't know the status of Braxton Jones and if he's going to be ready coming off of ankle surgery come training camp. What's impressed you about Ozzie Trapillo?
Just him. Again, another guy who sits there and lights up a room with a smile. But on game day, he's going to be a nasty player. He's a Boston College kid. That's he's from Boston. I mean, these guys are tough. They're tough as nails. So that'll be the story of training camp, in my opinion. I don't think it's a big reach to say that. Who wins the left tackle job out of those three players? And yes, we don't know yet about Braxton Jones. And that'll garner a lot of attention. So you got 4/5 of the offensive line seemingly set to go, which is a great, big, giant step in the right direction, given what has transpired in the last several years. Continuity was king in Detroit. They led the league in the starting 5 offensive line playing the most snaps, 80% of the snaps. The next team was like at 55%. So the entire 31 other NFL teams had a hard time. We certainly know how much trouble that was for the Bears. So if they can get that continuity going as early in camp as possible, I think that will serve everybody well. But it will be a competition. You got to give Braxton a shot at this as well, and may the best man win. I mean, this is what it is. You have 3 options. They're all different options, and don't underestimate Karan Amagaji's desire and will, and his mindset is very serious about it. He also transformed his body. He's learned a ton. He got thrown in there in that Minnesota game last year. I mean, that is trial by fire. Not a lot of people are going to survive that baptism. So I'm excited to see where that goes as well. There's a lot to be excited for, but that's probably, and almost by a long shot, the biggest camp battle.
I agree. And Ben Johnson said the best pass protector will win that job.
Yeah.
It's the most important job of that left tackle is protecting the blind side. Frank Ragnow retires in Detroit, and it's like, how does this division end up shaking out, do you think? Because that changes a lot. Not only you're losing him, but Detroit loses their 2 coordinators. I feel like there's still a ton of questions of, is suddenly Minnesota the best team in the division? But they have a quarterback playing in his first year as well.
These are great questions. It's funny how you start at center.
Right.
Here's another interesting nugget. All 4 teams have a new starting center this year.
Wow.
So that pivot is very important for obviously they got to think and see the game the same way as the quarterback and the head coach, in this case, play caller as well. So, that's a great place to start, because if you don't have a solid to very good center, things could get a little rough for you. That pocket starts to press inside the quarterback, and if they're not a bright player, they're not calling out protections, we got a guy that's going to be able to help take a lot off the plate of the quarterback. The experience, still a young player, with the addition of the 2 guards, that's going to serve us well. But as far as the division is concerned, there's no question in my mind, and I know there'll be some arguments out there around, but it's the most difficult division of football. It's the toughest, because the Bears, listen, whatever happened last year, to me, was a little maybe more leaning on the fluky side. It was a little fluky what happened. So this is a tough football team. There's a lot of tough football players on this team. They're going to be coached in a certain way. I think they're going to be trouble for a lot. It's not going to be simple. The division, they all feel the same way, that they are a tough and tumble type of football team. So all 4 teams. And they have great coaches in all 4 teams. I can't call it. I don't know how it's going to go. But last year I said after week 11 the season was going to get started, because there's so many division games. In this case, again, because of how they line up, and I don't have it memorized, so don't ask me, but I do feel, again, after week 11 we're gonna find out. So you got to really make hay early in the season.
Yep.
The Bears are going to surprise some teams because they don't know what they're going to be looking like. But J.J. McCarthy in his hometown, as a Bears fan growing up, Nazareth High School grad, shout out Naz, and Michigan, Bears liked him too. it's going to be a heck of an opener. And it's always the great unknown in week 1. But I really don't know who to say is the top contender for the division title, because we haven't touched on the Packers, but all 4 teams loaded up on the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball. When I say loaded up, in mass, I think 14 to 16 players. That's a lot. So everybody knows, okay, everybody's going to want to run the ball. Everybody's going to want to get nasty up front and make sure they shake the quarterback's tree. So I don't know. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a really fun, exciting year.
The Offseason is now available on Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.